The first reason why we like teaching English.
Today we are on the topic of the good, the bad, and the ugly of being an English teacher. What are the good things for you being an English teacher? What do you like about it?
The delightful part of being an English teacher is, I think, a little bit funny, but it's like getting me paid and working from home. Yeah, because I can't imagine what I'll be doing if I weren't an English teacher. I worked as a salesperson before, and it was a total disaster.
Did you not like it, right? Like you feel like you're not cut out to be a sales?
I knew it in the very beginning, but I don't know what else I could do. So I was under a lot of stress and I had a very serious health problem. After that, I took a year off. And then maybe I'll just, go back, do what I'm good at. Yeah, because I'm an English major. Yeah, I think I'll just go back to be a teacher. So now I get to work from home occasionally at cafes. I save massive time from commuting. Also, I can be away from the office politics. Though a little bit lonely at home sometimes. How do you call it? Like a double-edged sword?
I feel like if you're not cut out to be a sales, then you may suffer a lot. I think I'm kind of like you because I don't like coercing people to buy things. I know that it's not a good product for them, but I have to pretend, it's going to be good for you. And it doesn't feel good lying to them. But being an English teacher, I think the income is quite stable, and then you don't have to do a lot of coercion.
The second reason why we like teaching English.
Of course, a little bit cliche, but it's to help my students to build their confidence and to be more expressive. Because most people find themselves smart and fluent in their native tongue. But when it comes to a foreign language, they feel like they are not smart anymore. So I think it's very important to build their confidence, help them navigate this language. So I have this student who has been learning with me for approximately 3 years.
Wow, that's strong.
Right. So he is actually a badminton coach. So you can tell like he's very good at sports, that kind of thing, right? But maybe not so much on the language.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, we all have the things that we are good at and things we are not very good at. But he was first introduced me to my ex-boyfriend. So he went from only being able to say a few words in English. It's not even a conversation, but now he's able to give structured answers to IELTS speaking questions. I do feel very proud of him. I said that a lot to him, and I do feel I kind of shape his persona in the English world.
We do hear sayings, or maybe people agree that when you learn a second language, it's like you are having a second soul or maybe a second personality. You feel like your job, like the work that you do, is truly meaningful and purposeful. Since you can, as you said, you can see your students make progress, and then you constantly see them, getting better at this language, and then they can express themselves more coherently, like you said, right? Producing a full paragraph for the IELTS questions. I think that kind of progress is really, I would say it's addictive. Right. Seeing my student being a very good English user, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so good at my job,
One common problem our students have.
But I feel like the students rely on us too much in classes. Yeah, they'll be like coming to classes, say, I don't know how to say it in English. I don't know how to say this and that. So I feel like I'm like
your nanny.
No. It makes me kind of practice English more, when I'm doing class with them, because I'm trying to find out an equivalent word. So sometimes the progress can be not so much, especially if they are too reliant on us.
Well, I fully agree with that. I feel like sometimes our students can be over-reliant on us, as in they do know how to look up words on a dictionary, right? Or maybe just, Google search engine, right? They can type in Mandarin Chinese, right? And then how do I say this in English, right? And then I feel like sometimes they are too lazy and they're like, I already pay a lot of money to you. And then so right now I would use you as a dictionary. It's one terrible thing of being an English teacher, right? Okay. I would actually venture to say that even a native speaker wouldn't have all the vocabulary in the English language, right? So if there is something that it's not within their scope of expertise, it might be possible that they don't know a certain word. But then sometimes students come into my classroom and then they ask me, oh, how do you say this, right? And then they gave me the Chinese word for it, right? I was like, okay, I don't really know. And then they would be very judgmental. They're like, oh, aren't you the English teacher, right?
Yeah.
How do you not know the English name for 横纹肌溶解症?
Yeah, things like that.
And then, or maybe something like 心肌炎, right? I feel like that kind of put me on the spot. And then if you know me, you know I'm not a person who loves losing, right? So I feel like I am very competitive with my students sometimes, so to speak, because a lot of students actually did that to me. Like, oh, so you are not a native speaker English teacher. And then so I will actually pick on you a lot of time for not knowing a certain word. But then chances are a lot of native speaker teachers wouldn't know the exact same word either, right? Right.
Yeah.
So right now, if I see a medical term, I would actually memorize them.
Oh, really?
Just so that my student wouldn't just catch me not knowing a word. Have you ever had like a similar experience? Like, oh, student asks you something and then you don't know, and then they become very offensive?
Perhaps not too much of that experience. Yeah, I think my students are, I think they just want to know like how to say that, right? Probably I'll say things like, oh, I don't use this very often. I've heard of this term 1 or 2 times, but I don't use it very often. I would just like, yeah, of course, we quickly Google or we consult AI and...
That's right. We're humans, right? We're not AI.
How should we learn vocab then?
If we don't do a little bit of a reviewing or maybe summarizing after, watching movies or maybe listening to music, the results can be limited because we know it. It's very dopamine rich to watch a movie, but then when it comes to, summarizing or maybe reviewing vocabulary, it's really painful, like an ordeal.
Yeah, you have to discipline yourself. Like you need to have this note to write down some good sentences from that particular movie, which I say is very counterintuitive. I learned this from my favorite podcaster, Charlie Baxter. Yeah. So it's kind of like counterintuitive to make notes, to, write down the good sentences while watching a movie. Yeah. Just to learn. It's not very natural. Yeah.
You're shouting out to Charlie.
Yes.
Wishing in the future you can have a collaboration with him.
That would be my wildest dream.
Okay. But yeah, it may as well be very close to reality, right? So that's, fingers crossed for that. Yeah, but as you said, right, it's counterintuitive and it's very, quote unquote, you said it's very unnatural. And then I totally agree with that.